Simon O'Connor.
Mr. Speaker, very pleased to take a call on the second reading of the New Zealand Public Health and Disability Southern DHB Elections Bill. The second reading is the opportunity to speak to the committee's report, and in doing so want to thank the Select Committee for its work. As the previous two speakers have indicated, this is a bill which has cross-party support, and I'd like to thank all the members for that. This was one of the simpler agenda items that the committee is dealing with, and by its nature it was something we were able to return to the House relatively speedily. As context, the actual Select Committee at the moment is dealing with four pieces of legislation, and I think at last count we're up to 21 petitions that we are working through. So it's really good that we've had the opportunity to return this particular bill to the House. It's been noted that it's come back with no amendment. That's not completely unusual, but I thought I'd just point out, particularly for those following this with keen interest, the reason that there is no amendment is, first and foremost, the drafting of the bill was excellent, and thank you to PCO involved with that, but also the purpose of the bill is very, very simple, and I'll touch on some of the elements of that as we go through. But it's very simple because ultimately it's saying we are not to hold an election for the Southern District Health Board this year in order that the Commissioner may continue her work. And can I echo the Minister's words in thanking her and her team for the work that they are leading there. So the intention of this bill is to delay that election and to see that the Southern DHB will then go back, or rather a board would be re-elected by the public there in 2019. Look, we had a number of submitters, not a large number as you might expect. I want to thank those who wrote in and then submitted to us orally. There were sort of three themes that came out of the bill. The first was around Maori representation. Those from Ngāi Tahu were very keen that there be a formally appointed person put in a position to work with the Commissioner. We discussed this both in principle, but also how you could actually make it happen. So the advice was very clear that this was out of scope. And the reason, again, is coming back to, as I mentioned earlier, the simplicity of this bill. The purpose of the bill was to extend or push out the next elections. It was not about who is appointed commissioners, deputy commissioners, advisors, or whatever. But the committee, being a hard-working, insightful committee, wanted to make sure our thoughts were clear on this, and we have encouraged the Commissioner and the team to engage with Ngāi Tahu more, and I understand that that is beginning. It's certainly my hope that that is beginning. There were a few questions raised, Mr. Speaker, around transparency. Look, we've heard already actually the efficaciousness of the Select Committee, the Health Select Committee, all nine of us, that we wrote down in our report that we wanted to see more engagement, more transparency, and that is happening. I'm not going to go through all the ins and outs. There are certain requirements of the Commissioner when she is acting as the board of what she can and cannot do in terms of public engagement, but it's also clear, certainly to the committee, that more could be done, and I'm very pleased that that is happening. Second to last point is some were encouraging more community engagement. They were quite concerned about democracy and the loss of a vote. I sort of understand that, but the purpose of democracy is not simply to vote. You vote for a purpose, and the purpose is good governance. And ultimately, with the Southern DHB, there were issues around governance, and I think it has been and remains very important that the Commissioner is in play. And simply having elections so that people can exercise a vote for no other reason than exercising the vote doesn't make much sense to me at all. Finally, I just want to acknowledge particularly my four colleagues down in the South Island who are part of this District Health Board, Mike Woodhouse, Jackie Dean, Sarah Dowie and Todd Barclay. I've appreciated the work that they have done supporting their communities there. I've also been grateful for the advice and thoughts that they've given me, the times that they've just pulled me aside and given me some insights into what's happening. So to them, thank you for the work that they do supporting the community there. And I commend this second reading of the bill to the House.